Hello and welcome. We're starting a new run here in Victoria 3, as planning to play as the USA on patch 1.12.1. Just reminding everyone who's tuning in for the first time, I don't happen to have all the DLCs. I don't actually have the three most recent. Don't have Songs of the Homeland, which I believe is just songs. I don't have Iberian Twilight, which is actually the newest one, which is mostly Iberian content, so Portugal and Spain. And I don't have National Awakening, which is content mostly for the Balkans. That shouldn't affect us too badly because we're not planning on playing in those regions. They're mostly sort of regional content going on there. Otherwise, I have all the other DLCs. And you may hear some Victoria 3 music, or Victoria 2 music, because I think I have the pre-order effects from... Well, not pre-order effects. I have Victoria 2, so the Victoria 2 music gets added to the playlist if you have that. You can turn that off, of course. We are. So, if you've played earlier patches, the Spains were united previous patches. They're not anymore. That's one of the major things I've noted from the current patch. We're going to do the United States. Keeps it nice and simple here. I haven't had much time to bug fix the new patch, so hopefully nothing super broken. We're basically doing default settings with Iron Man turned off, so achievements would be viable on those settings, but not necessarily going to focus on getting achievements. So start off with the Seminole Wars. We'll complete if the United States owns all of Florida. We'll fail if Florida is owned by them. If completed, all those pops will move to Oklahoma, triggering the event Seminole Peace. Okay. That's a new event, basically associated with the fact that we're colonizing that area. Colonizing it particularly slow, although that might just be the number of colonies I've got going at the start here. And we have the slavery debate. We're probably just going to trigger the Civil War, although we're not going to do it right away. It's been a while since I've... What's these checkers? Checkers are new. Ah, alert when they show up. Okay. It's been a while since we've done USA. So we inherit Texas if they're at peace, and we've raised their relations. We should probably start by raising Texas relations. So if they win the war, we inherit them. One of the provincial journal entries we've got potentially coming up. Transcontinental Railway, Oregon dispute. I think that's on a nation-specific one in particular. Interesting. The one for getting claims on Mexico isn't showing up. I'm pretty sure that one's gated behind nationalism, so we'll probably go nationalism to start. And then maybe Nitro. Yeah, maybe Nitro. We'll see at that point. So we're definitely going to at least try to get the continental 48 states, and probably Alaska. Hawaii's Hawaii. Whether or not we move to add them or not, it's going to be a little more complicated. That's maybe future thinking a bit too far. Okay, so how do I want to handle the early construction and the early establishing of colonies? Put that state there. Okay, Florida wetlands makes Florida worse. Okay. We got the Rocky Mountains, which makes those areas worse. And the Great Plains. Okay, that's the Great Plains. Wouldn't necessarily, although, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily think of it as an actual agriculture bonus this early in the game, historically speaking. Is there a good way for me to bring up the modifiers? Strategic regions? Nope, that's not going to help. Right, so there's various things like the Mississippi River Valley, American Chestnut Forest, which gives extra hardwood output. Although American hardwood's not super valuable at the beginning. Appalachian coal fields. Great Lake area. The Ohio River. New York Harbor. And Nicaragua. Niagara Falls, which is electricity, which isn't super important. Doing whaling. So America's got lots of little modifiers. And then in territory we're expanding into, for example, we got California with its Central Valley. I really want the Texas states. Texas is the Rio Grande. Also a bunch of oil and other resources. So early on, how do I want to handle the economy here? There is an argument to rapidly industrialize. There's also an argument we got for institutions. Okay, so colonial affairs is maxed. Maybe grab education. We would like to get off of local police and onto dedicated if there's support for that swap. Is opposed by the Southern Planters. It'd be a weird thing if the Southern Planters are revolted over getting off of police. Oh, that's something that I suppose could happen. One amendment, tradition of free elections. Okay. Amendments is a new thing. Interesting. Don't know how the amendments work. We haven't really had to... Well, I haven't interacted with them yet. This is very, very much the first boot of Victoria 3. Twitch chat saying, "Oh, it started New Games USA. Guess that means your Ming run completed. Guess I missed it. Was that a fun run? It was pretty much a fun run up until the last stream. We had a little bit of basically everyone was declaring war on everyone else. Comboed with the bankruptcy. Granted, we still got the GDP up pretty high. We got the GDP up to 4 billion. And the last stream of it was intended to complete the run because that Ming run was on the last major patch. So we just had a major patch yesterday. So we're starting a new run in the new patch. I think tech, we're going to go nationalism. I don't want to work the economy here. So decent consumer goods maybe to produce. Can't do anything about the tea and the coffee. Well, there's also demand for guns, interestingly enough. Assume we have some guns to start with. We've got 3 arms industries in Virginia. We're going to want to have them someplace besides Virginia. How much should we get per output? So I'm actually supposedly getting like 90 small arms. And we somehow have a shortage? Okay, so something's going on math-wise there. I guess the Virginia isn't hired up all the way. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that's... Could move off of that, but I don't think we want to right away. Okay, so there's lots of little tech changes on these. So they've nerfed automatic irrigation. Irrigation used to be doubling the output. Code of violent or exploitive practices. Okay. I'm not going to do that right away. Definite changes to a bunch of industries. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to need some construction, although not sure how much of this construction I'm going to be using personally. I'm going to try to offload some of it to other groups, for example. So what does the market need right now? Could get some more wood, so let's start with some wood, and I'll push up construction if we need more stuff. Okay, that should be enough to get the queue full for a moment so we can get a balance on what the private versus public queue is. Okay, so it's 50-50 because we're in interventionalism. And yes, it does at least look for the moment like the private queue can use up all the industry. Okay, iron's up because we're on iron frame buildings, that makes sense. We're producing 400, we're consuming... oh no, we're exporting some. Okay, so we can definitely make, or definitely consume more. Try to get some more construction sectors going so we can get the economy running faster. Indian removal has started. Which is really an event that in older versions of Victoria 3 you could prevent. Or try to prevent. After they made changes with how to stop it, it's just not worth trying anymore. It used to be that you could... Well, the way to stop it previously was to move on to multiculturalism. And in theory, that would still do it, just no way you're going to need multiculturalism before it finishes the bad way. So. Okay, let's build a little bit more. Looks like Texas is probably going to lose. So we're going to have to take all of Texas when we invade Mexico later. Oh. Atmospheric engines popping, okay. Grab the bonus towards Water Tube Boiler, because we already have railroads. So we could stall the removals for 3 years. It's just... With how they've changed up the Seminole Wars, it doesn't make sense. Or with the Indian removal, it doesn't make sense to just get it out of the way. And that event's a reference to a Supreme Court case, which, in response to the way the case went, Andrew Jackson basically went like, okay, well, if you're going to rule that way, then you can enforce that ruling yourself, which, of course, doesn't result in any success in actual enforcement. So, the Trail of Tears happens, IRL. Lack of electoral competence. that's bouncing up and down. I'm not sure why that's bouncing up and down. Well, maybe because there's an election ongoing. Room the bell tolls. Okay, so either way, Andrew Jackson is dead. And either gain momentum or not gain momentum. I don't really necessarily want to give momentum to that party, so we'll just see who the new ruler is. John Calhoun. Okay, so slavery is in vogue in the current coalition there. The pacifist, okay. Pacifist at least works for the United States, because you start a national militia. I suppose that might actually technically let me off of Frontier Colonization. Yeah, we can use that to move off of Frontier Colonization. Armed Forces support's going to Colonial Exploitation. That'd be good for stuff in unincorporated states. That'll allow us to get into Africa sooner. Tempted to try going straight for Colonial Exploitation. We started on legacy slavery. I suppose we could move back to slave trade because Calhoun's in charge, but we'd have a pretty big push against that. Okay, let's, because there's no opposition to it. Oh, that's not the right one. Where's the institution I'm thinking of? Frontier Colonization. Try to swap that to Colonial Exploitation. Apparently we're supposed to even able to negotiate here. To private meeting, seeking a path that will benefit both the nation and the yeoman farmers interests of the colonial exploitation. Yeah, we'll make political concessions here. The yeoman farmers are a little bit stronger. Changed. We just lost a bunch. Did they just leave the government over that? Yeah, they just left the government over that. Okay. And are suddenly marginalized. Where's my support going? The answer is into the marginalized category, apparently. Just a forest fire going on in Lower Canada and Upper United States there. I need more in the queue. Probably wants to be iron. Yeah, it wants to be iron. Iron output's down for some reason. Still need to, like, double it, so. Another, let's say, 10 levels of this. Sorted based on peasants, so New York does make sense. Yeah, we'll put like 10 in New York. Pulling up very quickly with, we're going to want more infrastructure there. So I can do port or rail. What's the merchant marine value? Terribly low. Okay, so it's going to be rail. Oh, and I do have influence. We'll keep it banked up for the moment for the quicker enactment time. Ethics of exploitation. 60% chance of success, 25% chance. Although, lower chance of getting a bonus. So we'll go with the lower chance of it going down. We got the best result, so that's good. So we can acquiesce. Piss off the industrialist, which is fine. Not too worried about the contribution deficiency right now. Yeah, let's do that. Bread, butter, ballot. Just for the needy. Apparently had a debate failure. Gold discovered in South Dakota. Okay. So thinking about it, we should be... States that we fully control, we should be pouring. So that we can have them contributing to colonizing more states. Debate failure, okay. It's much better for the player when you get a choice rather than you get nothing. Oh, the Democratic Party has crashed. We may not be completing colonial exploitation because they may not be in government for much longer at this rate. Although I suppose the industrialists support it, so we're just going to swap from Southern Planters Armed Forces to Industrialist PT Bourgeoisie Coalition. John Calhoun, time of John Calhoun as ruler has ended. That's good. Daniel Webster is now the head of government. Reform government, taking that free reformation, swap over to the much more happy government. Charles Finney, yes. We are definitely going to wait to trigger the Civil War until after we finish integrating. Well, maybe not integrating, fighting the Mexicans. Mexicans did conquer Texans. And I'm pretty sure the decision I want to use... There it is, Manifest Destiny. We need a nationalism for, so that's what we're working on tech-wise. Famous Cafe. Market liberals aren't a problem. Fugitive slave. We'll make this leave free. You'd want to do that the other way around if you're trying to end slavery peacefully. Because if you get the Southerners to not revolt when you're ending it, then you can do it peacefully. But usually it's just better to accept that there's going to be a civil war. And we're a little bit of a divided nation, which is why we're running low taxes. Actually, I can probably go up to the middle. Medium taxes. That'll give us a bit more money to spend on things. Apparently, I can negotiate to make this even easier. Although we got it going well enough, I'm just gonna let it pass. As is. We may try to do something with the later ones. The negotiation thing's a new thing with the new major patch, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it yet. Yeah, we can probably afford like 3 more construction sectors. And these days they're very cheap. They're only 25 construction each, so they build real fast. Take a little bit of time to hire up, of course. Wood price is high, iron price is high, so part of what's going on now is we're building up construction to to consume more construction goods, and then we build the construction goods to make the construction cheap so we can afford to build more construction. Round and round we go. Play proviso. I think historically it was the first one that actually passed. That's not going to do anything. We'll push that button. There we go. So there's colonial exploitation. Doesn't necessarily change very much for us, other than the fact that it now allows us, when we want to try to go for... You're actually a tiny little country. Okay. Allows us to potentially try to grab some of Africa. We might try to get in on the Africa. I'm actually not likely to go early on Africa while we're colonizing over in the United States. Priorities. Finish the continental colonization before we do African colonization. It's probably a good way to go. Definitely afford another construction sector. Okay, the reason we're deficit spending right now is we've actually expanded quicker than the investment pool, so the investment pool is not pulling its full 50%. We're about halfway through the nationalism. I'm planning on starting a fight with Mexico as soon as we get nationalism. And then partially using the demand from that fight to move a lot more of the military industry up into the north. Are there any other law changes I want to do with the current government? It's probably the opposite direction than what we want. We probably want to move towards right to associate. But no one's going to support it this early. We like no migration controls. We want people to move to us. We're in the New World where there's no non-native populations. Starting off, well, there is some. But as they say, America is the land of the immigrant. So we need to convince people to move. Censorship's in the wrong direction. We want to open up more. Run public schools. It'd be a bit contentious to do dedicated police force, but we could probably try to swing that. Probably do want to move to free trade, but I think it's more of a priority to get on to dedicated police than that. Laissez-faire got a, again, pretty... Actually, that's not too bad for a stall chance. Might do laissez-faire then. Okay. Let's try to annex a laissez-faire. Oh, the yeoman farmers are back. Pretty weak, but they're back. So all these I can get rid of the stall chance, which is pretty useful. I assume if that's working correctly, that's not existing promises, but existing promises until you clear the promise, obviously. And we do want to try to get dedicated police force. Or get to subsidize them. Let's go with the subsidy here. So that should mean we have 24% chance to advance. No, 20% chance to, well, I say advance in the stage. 25% chance to succeed, 50% chance to advance, and then a very small chance for debate. So you can either get another slaver, move the moderate to slavery, or move our pacifist to abolitionist. We'll move the pacifist to abolitionist. And that's over... What was the caning of someone, I think, if I remember the event correctly. colonies are slowly colonizing. One, Florida is done. We'll be off to a good position. Shortage of ammo, apparently. Interesting. Do we have an ammo factory? Are we importing that? It's not importing. We do. Let's just subsidize it to force it to fire up. I'll do the same with the artillery. Successful scheme. I don't mind the armed forces and the industrialists getting more powerful, so we'll agree to that. Now, I think that 5% does come at the cost of... Oh no, it came at the cost of debate. Okay, so we actually don't want debate, we want successor advance, so that works for me. Sioux are trying to get their independence. Okay. Okay. We're going to slowly just start to expand the army here. We don't necessarily need it expanded for this war. But we may want it for Mexico, and we'll probably need it for the Civil War. And again, mostly recruiting up in the northern states. We need to leave the south with some armies, otherwise it will preemptively revolt, but build up a little bit in the north without getting them too grumpy. This is a double the rate that we're colonizing the Dakota. The Sioux. I give you investment rights, you give us nothing. Let's try to negotiate that. We do a mutual? You'll do a mutual. Can I get you to pay some money to go with that? They're barely getting, but sure. Oh no, they're really opposed that way. Never mind. Can I ask for an obligation? Maybe. Yes. Okay. So yeah, taking the opening here fairly slow. And it's notably slow because we're not doing very much, I suppose. Except we're waiting colonization to go and waiting for construction to the building to do stuff. I'm feeling like this is so slow, but it's not. It's just that I've got the game speed on speed 4 instead of speed 5. I'm used to playing on speed 5. And yeah, we've got the Sioux army well outnumbered, so this should be a nice, fairly short and quick war. Yeah, now that we've subsidized all the manufacturing industries, we're surplus and everything, except for the cannon, which apparently we're exporting. Okay, so the two fronts merge, which confused one of the armies for a bit. So building railway in New York to help with the logistics there. We over-consumed logistics a little bit. Infrastructure there. There we go. American colonization rights complete. Yeah, I think it's a multiplier of 2. Yeah, for the duration of the treaty, we get colonies there twice as fast. One more success here, and we'll have laissez-faire done. Forbids monopolies, disables nationalization. I tend to not really care about nationalization. I don't tend to do monopolies very much. Although, to be fair, this is only going to be the second run where we could have done anything with monopolies, so... Backroom dealings exposed. I'm going to do corruption, wet no corruption here. I can pay that bureaucracy cost, no problem. And 5% is not a big setback. Okay, so we effectively doubled the size of these armies. I think we want to double them, or increase them again. Again, recruiting mostly from northern states. And then, of course, when we're in a serious war, we're on national militia, so we can basically draft everyone during a war. There we go. Laissez-faire is done. And then... No, we didn't agree to the thing where I was on a rush to get... Oh, Missouri Compromise, okay. Capital NDC, Missouri Compromise. That's a new one. A new modifier. At least new to me. Okay, so let's... try to go for dedicated police force. Oh, I can potentially do something for the Southern Planters to calm them down. Put them in charge of the treasury. So reduce the stall chance by 11%. Make a bunch of funds go missing. But I could probably tolerate that. And it's decaying, so it'll get better over time. We don't want land-based taxation. Adds commitment to tax cut. Commit to leave taxes at very low for 4 years. I could probably do that. That wouldn't be too bad. What are the other sources do I got from stall? Because it's only moving 11%. The pro-slavery movement is opposed to dedicated police force. Okay. Although I could leave the taxes where it is and do this one. That's where the backroom dealings is coming from. Or came from. From the previous time. Okay. 4 years. Okay. 48 months remaining. And we're going to abandon the commitment. That will... Well, the penalty for abandoning it goes down the longer we go, apparently. Honestly, I think that's not going to be a problem. We can just do that. We'll see if we actually pass dedicated police force. Almost about to have nationalism. In which case we'll have all our claims on Mexico. Modernizer show up, so we're fine with that. Yeah, let's go logistics here. The extra constructible battalions. It's probably not going to kick in for the Mexico War, but let's press the Manifest Destiny button here. For 24 Infamy, we've got a bunch of claims on Mexico. I think still taking those claims is going to cause more... yeah, more infamy. So we're going to wait for that to burn down, and then we'll declare on Mexico. And we should basically be able to take everything in one go. Now here's the caning of Henry Clay. Henry Clay, an outspoken abolitionist, has been beaten with a cane by John Calhoun, a slave owner. Clay's injuries compel him to convalesce and retire from public office, where he still currently walks free. So we can either let him... Obviously, he's out, right? The guy who got caned has been so badly beaten, he's not coming back. We could also, you know, use that as the excuse to get rid of the head of the Southern Planters, who's very disliked slavery. Let's do that. Henry Clay is... Well, it says he's died. Technically, he's outside of political office at this point. Started complaining about the wasteful inefficiencies of citizen farms. From farms to forces... New York farms, or from farms to better farms, or from farms to factories. I know we're about to go to war, so I'm going to press this last one. So when it does come time to draft all our troops, we're good to go. Because New York is going to be one of the major contributors of manpower. The art of doing nothing. Welcome their support. Gold Rush. Sulfur wants the gold fields, please. If it was the gold mines, we would, but I don't think we have any gold mines to build. So we start with William Cramp and Sons. Which is Navy offense and such. Okay. I think I have an idea of what I want the next factory to be. Assuming we have the prerequisites for it. Colt Patent Firearms. Army offense, arms industry, building throughput. That's tempting. Although partially that would be for all the memes of Americans selling guns to the world. Any American state has 5 arms industries. Okay, to take that up. Only growth speed would be useful right now. Okay. I think we're going to go with a colony growth speed 1. From an ownership standpoint, this is going to be mostly mixed, so it's going to have a bunch of... And actually, it might not be mixed. It might be just pure aristocrat owning. But yeah, colony growth speed for colonizing good old West America will be useful. Okay. Nationalizing 5 manor houses to make the company. Prestige good is disabled, but can be enabled. American plantations prosperous and have completed the journal entry. Do we have an engine in manufacture? We do. I probably need to subsidize it. We do. Okay, subsidize it. So it hires all the way up properly. So people in South Dakota rely on bison for many basic needs. It would serve the interests of the settlers in South Dakota if bison populations were depleted. So that hinder subsistence farming in the area, but it would increase the colony growth speed. Okay. Okay, back to the point where we need economic growth. I suppose we are exporting both bullets and guns, so I could relocate some of those industries farther north. So during the Civil War, they're in our country and not the rebelling portion of the country. So you're in Virginia. Virginia is likely to go south. Where's the artillery foundry? The artillery foundry is far enough north, okay. Munitions. Pennsylvania, okay. So yeah, it's mainly just the arms that I need to move north. So let's put 5. That might be a little overkill, but we're going to put 5 up in York and get a railroad expansion in New York. And then we'll go back to lowering construction costs. Speed the game up a little bit. Okay, what are you rebelling over? They really don't like dedicated police force. But they're not going to actually rebel. Oh, they're not happy about the level of barracks in the north as well. Okay. Well, we're not going to make it any worse, so we're just going to let that sort of simmer in the background until we're ready. Although I suppose I could back off a little bit. But the, Oh, no, I can't fix that without building more in the south. Okay. Fair enough. We're gonna have to let it simmer until I'm ready to build more in the south. I think they're also likely to calm down the moment dedicated police is passed, because it's plus 50% from the passage of it. Do I have explosives production domestically? It's not producing right now. I do. Subsidize it so it actually works. Now that it's enacted, that'll decay and they'll calm down. Got an election. The Whigs are off into a very high lead on that election, so that's good. And what is ambitious? I don't think that's a really positive trait. No, we could probably tolerate ambitious, okay. Authorial tent. We'll make the agitator take the popularity hit. This will stop tour. We'll take that option. And yeah, the pro-slavery movement here is calming down. They won't do that again when I try to actually move off of slavery, but for the police change, they're going to tolerate that in the long run. Time of Daniel Webster is over. Cornelius is now in charge with a righteous government. Cornelius Vanderbilt. With his kidney stones. Leads the government. Ridiculous. Expensive tastes. Legal operator, okay. To the highest standards. Let's get construction sector throughput for 5 years. I said what we want to build when the current queue runs out. It presumably needs to be construction goods of some sort. And or paper. What do we currently run for the paper PM? Ron sulfite processing. Okay, so let's just build 3 paper makers. This is supposed to be a domestic only game. Okay, 5 in New York. Oh, actually 5 in Ohio. Oh, I said 3, not 5. There we go. And then wood. Wood. Iron's much more likely to get in the way from expansion, but right now the price savings is better on the wood. Okay. But looking at the time, I should go ahead and put the first part break in for the stream. If you're watching on YouTube, I think in the next part, we will be at war with Mexico. I think I got most of the really early law changes done that I want. Could technically go for guaranteed liberties, but we really don't need that really early on. Yeah, most of the laws, I think, as the United States starts off pretty good. We can't go to public health care, and usually don't want to go to charity hospitals because we'll get you stuck trying to go to public health care. At some point we want to do free trade, but we're not in a rush to get that done. We have, like, no migration control. We'd like to get off of anti-strike and probably get on to, say, like, corporatized unions or right to associate or something. But we can live with where we are. Like I say, slavery is obviously something we want to deal with as soon as we're done with the Mexican-American War, and have Florida fully colonized. Yeah, we're starting to make pretty good progress, even though it may seem a bit slow here at the start of the American run. But yeah, and then we're waiting for the infamy to come down. So that should be gone in 2 years, and then we'll start the war with Mexico and probably take all the border states. So Texas, New Mexico, so on and so forth, right? So if you're watching on YouTube, they'll be put up tomorrow. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to hang around. I can take about a 3-minute break to stretch the legs, sip some tea, and then we'll be back to continuing the run. So until then, wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.